Welcome to the class. Today we are going to talk about some of the features of sounds and sentences. In order to do that, we will talk about intonation in particular. What is intonation? Let's look at that, and along with intonation, that is what it is, we need to look at why is it important to look at intonation. Third, we need to understand how does it help us improve our learning. That is, understanding about intonation and some other features of sounds and conversations, some of the features that become crucial in our subconscious patterns. Why are they important for us to understand, to improve our learning better? So, intonation is a feature of pronunciation, meaning it becomes prominent only when we start speaking. So, this specific part or certain things that we are going to discuss are not visible in written form of the language or when we read them unless it has been specified otherwise. Sometimes writers do adopt strategies to indicate their intentions or what they want readers to understand. So unless it is done that way, we don't see the impact of these things in written language. So we are keeping reading and writing aside, and for the time being, we are talking about how these things impact when we speak and how these things get interpreted by the listener. So it refers to melody. Again, it is related to speech. It is created by changing the pitch of the voice. When we speak, we keep shifting our pitch. By pitch, we mean pitch is another feature that we need to know. By pitch, we mean when we speak, the intensity of sounds, we change the intensity to create certain effects, and that is responsible for what we know as intonation. So, pitch is part of intonation. Some other features that are crucial along with this, I just name a few for you to understand. You can make an effort to look at these things. Some of these features are stress, accent, rhythm, the one that we mentioned, pitch, tone. These are the terms that we need to understand about spoken language. We use these terms in regular conversations as well, that I didn't like the tone. Some people say, I didn't like the tone. What do people actually mean? You have an accent. What does it mean? It was very rhythmic. What does that rhythm mean? And don't stress things just like that. I'm just creating few sentences from top of my mind to use these terms like pitch, stress, rhythm, accent, tone, to allow you to look at what we mean. If you look at the sentence, you will understand what these things mean. But we need to look at how it works in the language. For example, like I said, when somebody says, I didn't like the tone in which it was spoken, what does the speaker want to say? What is it that the speaker did not like? And what part of speech does it refer to? The speaker has very clear idea. The listener also understands that there was something wrong, but still it doesn't give us a picture of what we mean by So let's move ahead. So in short, intonation and these features are related to how we say something and what we intend to mean. In particular, intonation is responsible for variation in the pitch. And intonation also helps us express several things. That is, a little shift in intonation can also give you some idea about the emotional aspects of the speaker as well. So, like we said, features like stress, tone, intonation, rhythm, pitch, what are they? Let's briefly look at them. Stress is about the prominence of a syllable. Again, syllable is a unit of a word where a vowel is the nucleus and a word can be broken into syllables and syllables can further be broken into sounds. It is possible that a word has only one syllable, but it is also possible that word has multiple syllables like 2, 3, 4 and 5 and sometimes more. So when one syllable in a word gets prominence, that is called stress. Tone is the manner of sound. It's about intensity. It's generated through intensity of pitch. And intonation is about change in that pitch. A rhythm is change in the stress at intervals. And again, pitch refers to relative height of tones in our acoustics. That is, when we hear something, the high or low pitch, the tones can be either at a high pitch or at a low pitch. So therefore, I'm mentioning it as pitch refers to height of the tone in our acoustics. Acoustics simply means in our listening. So pitch happens to correlate tones and intonations. So in other words, or in short, pitch, tone, intonation, they are all related. There are differences between them, and they do different things, but they are related in one way. So specifically talking about intonation today, there are three types of intonations. One, like tone, can be also of at least two types, so high and low. Similarly, intonation is rising, falling or flat. So when we speak something and it feels like we are moving up, hear me out, moving up, that's called rising intonation. There could be flat intonation where we don't see either rise or fall. It is leveled and therefore it is called flat. So there are three: rising, falling and flat intonation. Each one of them have different functions. So for example, we use flat intonation mostly for statements. Declarative sentences usually have flat intonation, and we allow the intonation to rise or to low to create different impacts. So let's look at it. So one of the most famous and most obvious things for us to know about intonation is intonation at the final position, that is final intonation, helps determine type of a sentence. So just to take one example, the rising intonation at the end of a sentence makes a question, marks a question. That is, even if you are, so I have few question sentences. First I want to talk about it, and then I'll come back to statements. So, did you want to go home? There is no rise, fall, it's a flat. It's obviously a question. That is because it's an interrogative sentence. Did you want to go? Flat intonation. Do you know? Flat intonation. Did you know what they said? Flat intonation. But if we rise our intonation at the end of the sentence, then we are adding little bit more to the type of the sentence. Did you want to go home? Did you want to go home? Did you want to go home? Did you want? Did you want to go home? You see the rise and fall of intonation in these sentences. So, depending upon the place where we are rising, it changes the meaning of the sentence. It changes the intention of the speaker. And so, in the first one, I was trying to put a rising intonation at home. In the second one, I tried to put at go. And in the third one, at want. And at the fourth one, at you. So, in one sentence, this one sentence can be spoken in 4 different ways with 4 different meanings. So, we create this effect through rising intonation. So, we can say, did you know what they said? It has a meaning where we are putting emphasis on you. Did you know what they said? We are talking about the act of knowing in prominence. Did you know what they said? We can use rising intonation for the whole clause, but even within the clause, we can use couple of places for rising intonation. So, basically the point is, intonation at different places allows us to add effect, which in turn gives a completely different meaning. Even in a simple sentence, like John is a doctor, a very simple sentence. John is a doctor? You must have heard people speak sentences like this. John is a doctor? You see, the intonation is rising at doctor. This rise in intonation is converting this declarative sentence, a simple looking sentence, into a question, that I am questioning the fact that John is a doctor. It has, talking about the meaning that I just described, it can affect several different levels. So, I'm talking about intonation. So, and the levels where it can affect things are, it can change things at grammatical level, in the sense that through the use of tone and by paying attention to the tone, you can look at that it marks beginning of a sentence, beginning of a statement, or the end of a statement. It also allows us to understand whether it's a clause or a sentence. We just discussed whether it is a statement or a question, or are we resolving? It is also used to resolve ambiguity. So, like I said, did you want to go home? A sentence, did you want to go home, though in a level, in a flat tone, is a simple declarative sentence, could have one specific meaning. But this sentence can be interpreted in with several different meanings. So by paying attention to tone at one place, we are ruling out the rest of the meaning. So let's look at it one more time. Sentence is, did you want to go home? A sentence is, let me write it one more time. Did you want to go home? If I raise my intonation at home, that has one meaning. If I raise my intonation at to go, it has another meaning. If I raise my intonation at want, it has another meaning. And if I put it at you, did you want to go home? It has one meaning. Did you want to go home? It has another meaning. Did you want to go home? Another meaning. Did you want to go home? Another meaning. So, paying attention to intonation at one place helps us rule out rest of the meaning. Therefore, it has a function of resolving ambiguity as well. It also adds towards a few attitudinal issues where it helps us identify things like shock, surprise, anger, sarcasm, pleasure, interest, etc. So by paying attention to how people speak and use intonation, we can find out whether a person is, with a sense of shock, surprise, anger, sarcasm, pleasure, interest, and few more. Basically, I'm just mentioning few emotions related to our attitude. It can help you identify conclusions in a discourse, because people have different intonation at the beginning and people have different intonation at the end of the discourse. So at the level of discourse, it can help you identify so many things. When we use intonation to focus parts of the masses. So like again, this example that did you want to go home that I used. So which part is in focus, we can use the tone to put that in focus. At the same time, it has a psychological level added to it as well, which means if you pay attention to tones, it is easy for you to memorize. It happens to us when we hear somebody being sarcastic. The tone and the use of intonation through which somebody made it sarcastic, if we pay attention to that, we not only remember sentences, but we also remember the entire event and the context in which the whole event was embedded. So, what I am trying to tell you is I want to wind it up by telling you that there are several things that we need to notice. It helps us find out what is not so obvious. In a conversation, it is features like intonation, tone, pitch, which attract our attention to figure out what is called in between the lines, what is called subtext, what is called intentionality. Therefore, these features are important for us to get the point. So when we speak, we not only speak through actual sentences, but by adding these things to what we want to say, we say way more than what sentences can say. I once again invite you to sit down, relax, think about these things, listen to people when they speak carefully, and see how you get these employed intentionality and other related meanings that we discussed from how people speak. Looking forward to a further discussion with you on this. Hope this was helpful. Thank you so much.